but there is going to be more asked of Josh Allen as a leader than has ever been asked of him before.
He's a leader because he's Josh freaking Allen. He's on the field. Guys follow him. They want to play with him. They love him. I'm talking about the guy who comes to the sidelines and tells you, get your in the right spot. You screwed up that play.
I think of Kobe. I think of Michael Jordan. Yep. And I took that personally, all that stuff. And all right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus channel presented by Connors and Ferris, Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, as well as share if you enjoy our content. We're all wearing our glasses today. We're ready. We're ready for the analytics. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about mandatory minicamp ahead, what to take away from this time in Orchard Park, and kind of how to put it into context of what it means for the season and where we're at right now in the schedule of the season.
Recording this Monday.
Correct.
Should be out Monday. We're going to get this out tonight.
Okay.
So then we will have, all of us will be up there on Tuesday for minicamp, and then we'll maybe have a longer video recapping of what we've seen.
I was conscious of making sure no one was speaking when I started, because I had someone actually comment and say, well, yeah, Mike interrupts Jenna because she's a woman. No, I interrupt her because it's Jenna. That's why I do.
No, you just interrupt everyone.
That is true. But
I don't feel special.
We do have to be there Tuesday because it's mandatory.
It is mandatory for everyone.
Yes.
As well. It brings up the important point, though, of, okay, this is mandatory minicamp. Obviously, previously, this past offseason, it's been OTAs, organized team activities, which are voluntary. So where do you kind of put into the equation of what this means in this part of the schedule?
I would say that there's always overreaction to things. The difference is...
On the internet?
Never.
Yes. The difference is with the Bills,
get out of here.
There hasn't been a lot of place to overreact. It was Poyer and Hyde, and then the starters at corner, and then all the receivers you knew and everything. Not this year. You got questions about the wide receivers, how they're going to line up. We're not 100% sure on the O-line. We think that's where they're going. You got guys coming off injury, right? So there's going to be people going, wow, did you see Keon Coleman? And I'm saying this before we've seen him on the floor.
Yeah.
On the field. Oh, man, why wasn't Keon out there for the ones all the time? Because it's June. And so I think there's opportunities. We don't know what they're going to do at safety. And there's ways, I think, coaches, both because of injury and because of a lack of experience, they don't like to just throw guys in there. I mean, think about it. Josh Allen was third string.
We couldn't talk to him.
Behind Nate Peterman and
A.J. McCarron.
A.J. McCarron.
Hey, he led a great preseason comeback in Cleveland.
Right. And then he started, he was second string because they got rid of McCarron.
They traded
right before the season.
Yep.
Second string behind Peterman in that awful team. And then he was the starter at halftime.
Do you remember when we tried to interview Josh at training camp, and then eventually the media team let us talk to him, and Josh ran over and introduced himself to us? Like, oh, sorry about that. You had to wait. I'm Josh Allen. We're like, yeah, we know who you are.
Didn't they say to us, like, why do you want to talk to the third string
They said
quarterback?
that it's a team policy. We don't talk to the third string quarterbacks yet. Like, we'll make him available. It's like, we want to talk to him now.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, he's the third string. It's like, we want to talk to him still.
He was your first round pick that you traded up for.
Yes. Yeah, I think that there's the overreactions of this time.
No, go ahead. You finish. I was just going to say the entire franchise flew to Wyoming to see him before they picked him, but he's third string. Yeah. Just remember that. So
I think that we're not quite approaching, we're almost on the cusp of best shape of their life season. We're not there yet because they will have time to get into the best shape of their life before training camp. And then after that is obviously breakout season candidate.
Yes.
So where we are in the schedule, we're not there yet. But I think we were talking about it a little bit just before we, started rolling. I think that what we will see is hypothetically, if they were to play a game today, where they would play, like the starters, where they would be. And then off of that, we know that we may see Damar Hamlin get reps in before Cole Bishop. And I don't think that that's too much of a hot take.
I agree. I think we'll see the expectation of some of those guys that would be out there. And also with the addition of Yeah, maybe some of those maybe some of those rookies wouldn't be in the starting spots that you would expect. So I think what you take away from mandatory minicamp is it's June.
Yeah.
And that there's a semblance of this roster that is set that but there's a lot of fluctuation, and this is kind of the guys they expect to be the ones, but it's still very early, and there's still a lot that could change with the fluctuations that go along with it.
And this is still a team in it with a Super Bowl window.
Yeah.
So it's different. In the beginning, I think it's easier to say, we brought these guys in, Trey White, you're going to start. Like we kind of knew that, like it felt like it, all those kind of guys, they're going to start. This is different because this team is a winning franchise, has been. And so now the rookies coming in could start, certainly, right? I mean, Bishop could be a starting safety by the time we get there. Keon certainly could be starting at wide receiver. But I don't see any particular reason to put that out there. If you're the Chicago Bears, line up all those rookies, get them all ready to go because you're just out there trying to prove something and see how good you can be. I think for the Bills, it's going to be, there's veterans who can play. It's going to be earn that spot at camp, and then let's see where they are.
And,
that's not me.
What?
You interrupted me.
No, we started talking this. You can go.
No, I insist.
Oh, I also think it's important to note that there are some injuries as well.
Yes.
So Mike Edwards is rehabbing back. So you might see DeMar Hamlin in his position and in that spot. So that is also the context that's needed.
Matt Milano,
Spencer Brown, who got a little bit in more work in OTAs last week, but something to monitor.
Yeah. And this was also the thing where we start to see some things that even when they're not taking the reps as to where they are, Josh throws to certain guys. And Josh has thrown to Keon this entire OTAs that he has been there. The way that practice works is the way that they throw to certain sides. There's a certain guy. So Keon may be third in line. And so if you looked real quickly, you'd be like, oh, third in line. Well, that's because Josh throws to this side, then that side. So it's all to get the reps in. So I think what we are seeing is I think you'll start to see maybe more guys get reps with Josh. So
I think Chase Claypool will be the example of that.
Yeah.
Because during OTAs, we did not see that.
It was Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch was throwing him the ball, and Chase Claypool made some great plays. Now, you could say he was playing against second-string guys on defense, and that's fair too. But we talked about in our last video about the progression of Chase Claypool. The talent's always been there. It's if he's going to take the opportunity seriously, and it seems like he is putting in the work and taking this opportunity seriously and earning the Bills' trust, and a piece of that trust now is extending it and having Allen throw the ball. So that is my expectation for mandatory minicamp.
Yeah, I think Claypool has been the surprise so far for me. If there can be surprises during voluntary OTAs.
I saw a video talking about how Dolphins fans or Dolphins bloggers were ragging on the Bills because Claypool has been kind of the wide receiver that's been getting the most attention in camp, or not camp, but in this offseason so far. And I kind of was surprised by that because I'm like, the talent's always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tweeted some Keon Coleman video from this past week, and everybody's like, he runs so slow. Do you understand that it's June? And do you think that this guy's running full? How are you going to take anything away? There's very few things we can actually, you talk about it, it's June, what you can really take away. The speed at which a guy runs his routes against air is not one that I'm concerned of. So yeah, I've seen Dolphins fans get in my mentions. I've seen Chiefs fans get in my mentions. He looks like he's running in quicksand. Well, he's not really running, guys. Let's just kind of take a seat.
Yeah. With Claypool, it is going to be interesting. I think he is at that point. It's hard to say last chances because in the NFL, you have talent.
It may be last
People
chance.
still bring you in. But in this case, I mean, let's face, what is this, 4 teams in 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 in the last 3.
Yeah, and even as a young guy.
Or 3 in the last 2.
There's a whole series of players out there now. So somebody's going to say, wow, it didn't work in Miami with that offices and working with Josh Allen. Then it's going to be
yeah.
So I hope there's a realization there for him. If the guy wants to, I'll say, resurrect his career or almost create his career.
That's what
because he really
McDermott
hasn't
said.
had it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if it is.
All right, my question then to you, Dan. Oh.
No, that's what we were just kind of talking about of I think we'll see him get mixed in. I may not see Keon may not get the first rep with the first team, which we won't be able to really, I don't think we'll be able to
I don't think
talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Explain that to people, because that sounds
There's
funny.
media restrictions onto what we can talk about and can't talk about, and the reporting of it, of just the fact of who gets reps where. You can talk about where they're lining up, but you can't talk about who's getting reps, or maybe it's the other way around. I should probably double check on it, because you can't talk about where they're lining up, but you can talk about who the starters are. Things like that. It's very complicated. It's a paranoid league, and that's part of the reason why they don't want some of the media that cover the team to talk about certain things.
Yeah, so it's the media policies around how we can talk about practice.
When you can talk about practice.
Also when...
It's always odd to me. Why did they say you can't tweet during practice?
You have to wait till the end. But when you get to training camp, you can tweet during the practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Because there's fans there. So they
yeah,
get the fans say it. Do you guys
I mean,
say
fans have recorded stuff in the stands and then tweeted it.
Yeah.
So, all right. My question then to you, Dan, is then what is the importance of mandatory minicamp?
Well, Josh would say that it's to get connections with players off the field and kind of build that vibe. I think you do need to see what you have and what you may need to still add. Mike always makes a great point. Like, what the roster is right now isn't guaranteed to be what the roster is week 1 or even preseason game 2. So like, this is where you're kind of assessing, hey, do we still need another wide receiver? Hey, do we need a backup running back? Do we need another swing tackle? Because this guy that we brought in that we thought was going to be this swing depth guy, we've seen him now for 2 months and it's not good. So this is the closest thing. And we saw McDermott and Josh were fiery at the end of this practice. And we pretty much heard Sean say, like, this is the 10th OTA. Like, we've got to be cleaner than this. So while I joked around about rookie minicamp being like a football clinic, like you showed up at camp and let's all just go through the drills, there has to be details and the standard I think you are trying to instill now. Maybe the results aren't a huge thing, but offsides, penalties, like little shit like that, I think is what you're trying to iron out.
Yeah. Setting the tone as well of what to expect.
Setting the tone is a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And by the way, just so everybody knows, if you look on the schedule, it will say that it is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The team's habit, the team's norm has been Tuesday, Wednesday, and then poof, Thursday goes away. But I'm sure he holds that carrot out there a little bit to say, get our work done.
Yep.
And you guys get out a day earlier. So we'll see if the boys do their work and do it well, and then they can go out and play.
Then they can get dessert.
Yes.
Could you imagine if they did have a third day?
I don't think he would do it as punishment. I think he might say to players, this year we're staying for the third day before they even went out on the field, especially the veterans.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if they did a third day, I would be like,
oh,
whoa.
Yeah.
They haven't done a third day in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
That would be shocking,
Yeah.
which there's not many. I feel like there's not a lot this in June that's shocking, but that would be certainly something.
Yeah.
Well, do we think so? The only player that did not appear at least at one point in OTAs, voluntary OTAs this spring, was Rasul Douglas, the Bills corner. He's entering a contract year, played really well for Buffalo. They gave up a draft pick to get him. Mike, do you foresee that being a thing?
I never have a problem with a player wanting a deal in the NFL, especially a guy going into the last year of a deal. I will say this, holding out of camps. First of all, if I was a player, and I'm not, but if I was a player, I don't think I'd ever hold out.
He's not in the building either.
Not in the building. Mandatory mini camp is like, you get fined, I think, for that. And
yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's like 2 days. Like I just don't see the real pressure you put on a team. And with all due respect to Rasul Douglas, who may very well be the starter, right? You would think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he can like hold the team hostage by not showing up. I think they like him a lot. They gave up a pick for him. He played well. He's a veteran. He's been around. And I think he probably deserves an extension to his contract, because this is when guys get the deals done.
Yeah.
Right. It just is. I think he'll be there. I have not gotten any indication that. I think Tim Graham reported something. I should have looked again.
Oh, let me look.
That said it's not contract related. It's just he's a veteran player. And I don't think so. But I think he's the kind of guy. They gave up a third.
Third.
Yeah, you give up a third round pick and he played well.
Yep.
And he's a playmaker back there for them too. He gets his hands around the football. So I don't think it's an issue, but I'd also say, I think, Dan, you brought it up before we were here. Both of you did. That they got a little money laying out there.
We talked about that last pod.
Is it the possibility that some of that could be going to a contract? I mean, hey, look, the team can just say, play it out and then see what happens. But I don't know if they want to do that.
Yeah. I'm wondering, we talk about some of the things that we're looking for. Maybe it'll be more in training camp and things like that. But I think the secondary is going to be something that I'm going to pay more attention to than ever before.
Yeah.
Well,
because I'm saying like,
wow, that was like a snarky, sarcastic
No, it came
laugh.
out snarkier than I wanted it to, but it's pretty not alarming, but it's pretty eye-opening because that has been such a safety blanket for this team for so long.
She added glasses and made it snarky.
It just became like us.
Yeah.
Started being snippy.
Yeah. Isn't it funny when the rabbits got the gun?
Yeah. Like there are familiar faces, especially at corner, but how are they viewed? I guess that's what I'm interested to see moving forward. Like, do you see Rasul as a 2-year, 3-year extension? Do you see him as that? Where do you see Khair? Do you think that this could be, is this Khair's make or break year? Like, is this time for him to shit or get off the pot? Like all of those things. I'm just saying, like, where you make those decisions, like we talked about making the trade for Rasul, you had this upcoming year under contract, which was a bonus as to he wasn't just a rental. And I know they moved some money around to make some cap space for this year, but obviously he's not under contract past this year. So where do they see Bernard? Like, where do you see him as Benford? Do you see him as a true number 2 corner that you're set with and happy with? Do you see him as a guy that can maybe down the line play safety? We've always talked about, like, where do you see? So like this year, there just seems to be a lot of moving pieces as to the future of the secondary has to be decided this year, starting with a Rasul contract. Because if you don't have that, maybe the way you view Khair could be different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that
I may have just talked in circles, but it's just an interesting point.
If the season was to start now, like you said, they line up like it's now, would you not say, I'd say it's Benford and
Rasul,
Douglas as the starting
no
corners.
question.
Right. Khair's going to be interesting. Look, he may not have it. He may not be for Buffalo, and maybe he eventually figures it out somewhere else. But Babich said it, and we talked about it. He's getting another opportunity, whatever reason. John Butler's a heck of a coach, but it didn't work out with John Butler. So now he's got, now he has a opportunity again. What they say, clean slate? Isn't that what Babich said coming in? So.
Yeah.
And by the way, did you mention Bob Babich? Did we mention Bob Babich?
Yeah, we said when we were in OTAs.
When we were in OTAs, because I told you about Mike in one of his many car rides, just goes off on a tangent and just talks and says all these words and all these things. He went and like listed Bob Babich's coaching history.
Yeah.
Mike was fascinated.
Well, he was all over the place.
See?
Was he not?
No, I mean, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Not being sarcastic. There was
like
a lot.
Every year or
every
other
level,
year,
every position you can imagine.
Yes.
The job of a coach is so impressive.
And at the top of his accomplishments, and Bob Babich has a lot of them, is subscriber to Buffalo Plus.
Yes. Big fan.
He is.
That was so cool.
It was cool. Coach was like, hey, love it. We watched down in Florida. So there we go. I think he said Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. I do think it's funny, too, that when Bob Babich was at practice that week, he gave a note card to Bobby Babich, his son. Give him just a couple notes. Just a couple.
It's
2 trees.
So good.
He said that Bob only comes up to see the grandkids. He's like, he doesn't care about me anymore. And then he goes, asked him just at the end, was just the note card of like, hey, by the way, I couldn't help myself. Here are the 3 things that I would do.
By the way, just so I have a part in that play.
You don't care about your kids anymore?
It's grandkids. Sorry, Car. Sorry, Court. They know. It was like,
that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, and then eventually I get around to...
You know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What are we seeing start? Okay, we kind of talked about all this. Again, to reiterate what you're saying, I expect to see Rasul Douglas there tomorrow. I believe that he will be there. I think because he is 29 years old, he didn't want to go through the rigmarole of voluntary OTAs, and I don't expect that to be an issue moving
Sometimes
forward.
people have family stuff.
Yeah.
I always think that too. Like, this is also a time to remember, like, and this is why OTAs may be gone.
Yeah, who knows how they're gonna.
Yeah.
But there will be again voluntary time,
Sure.
and
Yes.
then and all
Yeah.
that. But
Well, we were talking about it before, like how different mandatory minicamp was last year, because all the talk was, will Stephon Diggs be
What
there?
a time.
And it was, will Diggs be there? And then we got to OTAs on Tuesday, and McDermott said he was excused, and
All time.
if Rasul is not there, I would say that the one word Sean will not use is concerned.
yes.
That was the one that hit. It hit hard.
I remember us doing the video recapping it. We've covered a lot of wild days.
Yeah.
That may have been the top of it, because it was Sean's comments saying everybody was here, not Stephon Diggs. And then
Very concerned.
very concerned anytime your top player's not there. Then during practice, Diggs' agent comes out and says, that's not true.
Yeah.
And then Sean has to come back out. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to his agent, and he was like, they were not happy with that word.
Oh, yeah. He
Concerned.
picked up your phone call.
Yeah. And he was like, he was not happy.
What a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah, but he was, and then the next day. So anyhow, that was, and he was there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sort of told to go home and then back.
yeah. What a
Whatever
different,
that mess was.
what a saga.
Yeah. So Rasul, if you're just show up. I don't think he has any chance it isn't, because we had that nonsense.
Yeah.
At least some version of it last year.
Yeah. Do you want to do this one?
Oh, I just think you're so like intimidated by this
I
topic.
know. I don't really I don't really.
Okay. So I'm going to say this off the start. I'm going to say, we want your comments, and then we're going to talk about it, but go ahead and write them. Is Josh Allen an alpha male?
And there's different ways. That's not to say.
I just want people to take that in the way they perceive it.
Yeah.
And right now we're going to talk about the way you can look at that.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to sit here and question somebody's manliness.
That's not about that.
Okay. So
it's more about personality.
Yeah, you want to
just prefacing things.
Yeah, clarify that.
It's personality, and it's also a type of leadership, I'd say, in that response. And that's why Diggs was kind of that alpha in the building. Like, whether or not you liked him, I get it, is a whole separate thing. But I think of an alpha, somebody comes in the room, everybody sits up straight. You don't want to mess around. You don't want to piss him off because you don't know what he's going to do. And this is kind of where we kind of go to it. Like, Josh's leadership, we've all kind of said, and I think you guys have agreed to it too, listening and subscribing, there needs to be more leadership from Josh this year. Josh has said that he needs the job of a franchise quarterback is off the field, it is on the field, it is in the media, it is all of those things, and what that comes with it.
You got your beep, because I'm going to say something here. Josh needs to be more of a, you don't even know where it is.
I don't know where
I think he needs to be an ass. He needs to be sometimes, you say leadership. He's a leader because he's Josh freaking Allen. He's on the field. Guys follow him. They want to play with him. They love him. I'm talking about the guy who comes to the sidelines and tells you, get your ass in the right spot. You screwed up that play. Because we've seen Brady do it, Manning do it. Brady and Manning have different personalities, but they both did it. Like Rodgers has done it. All these guys have an element to them. Phillip Rivers, with ever not cursing, would do it all the time. Dadgummit, whatever he would say. And I think Josh could use. Josh is by all accounts, tremendous teammate, great dude, all those things. But when we're talking about alpha, we're talking about the guy, I do believe, who can light people up a little bit.
Yep.
And lead in that way where he holds them to a standard. We know what Josh is going to do. I don't see him as naturally that guy. I think he's the good dude and everybody likes him. And honestly, Jenna, I think he likes people to like him.
Yeah, I think too.
Doesn't make him a bad guy.
No, but I think because of who he is, like when you say all those things, like the alpha, all that stuff, I think of Kobe, I think of Michael Jordan, and I took that personally, all that stuff. And I think for Josh, he has no issue doing that for himself, of holding himself to a higher standard. But I do think this part in the maturation process requires him to do that to his teammates as well. Because, and I don't think that does come natural for Josh. I think he's one of the guys. And he's even talked about being one of the guys and having to remember, oh yeah, I'm the franchise quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. But I think that will set the tone. And by doing that, it does make everyone, and you don't want people on eggshells, but if you're setting the tone and talking about it, things we talked about earlier, like there's got to be a level that you expect from everyone.
Yeah.
And that is important because you come way more prepared if there are expectations and then honestly, not punishments, but if there's a reaction, if you're not prepared, you prepare in a different way. You kind of need a little bit of that anxiety.
Well, yeah. And to Mike's point, an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
okay. So here's a perfect example. Jenna, you just perfect point where you were saying almost a sense of punishment. How many times have you seen Tom Brady mic'd up on the sidelines? It was probably one of the seasons when Edelman was out, 2019, 2018, and the offense sucks and they're struggling and he's screaming at his wide receivers, like, catch the damn ball or I'm not going to start looking at you.
Yeah.
Like, you suck. I'm not going to throw it your way because you're going to make me look bad. Like, that's that level. Brady's an alpha. Like, when what you demand out of your teammates is to a certain standard. And you're right. Whether it's part being a jerk a little bit to hold them accountable so that everybody straightens up, that when you know what's going on.
Yeah. And it's no question, it will be an easier transition to that without Diggs there.
100%.
Diggs, it was a different element with Stephon Diggs there. And even Gabe and the other guys who he's had before. And when it was Cole Beasley and all that. If Josh is going to develop into that player, and again, Josh also is the first guy complimenting his teammates doing that.
That's the thing.
It's good to be able to do both.
Josh has said that he's more of the quiet leader.
Yeah.
He is one of those guys that has led by example. His play, just in itself, what he puts his body on the line, that motivates your teammates.
No doubt.
That, look at this guy. You've heard Dion and Knox and all those guys like hurdling people. The way that he gets up and he's fired up. That's all him being a great leader. That gets your teammates there. But there is going to be more asked of Josh Allen as a leader than has ever been asked of him before. And you heard Joe Brady say it, like, this is Josh Allen's offense. Now more than ever, he is going to have to be the one that, again, is not only the guy in the sidelines, the guy in the huddle, the guy in the rooms, all of those things. He needs to take his leadership, I think, to a different place than where it is and has been for years.
And Jenna, look at the guys he's going to be dealing with in that way, right? I mean, you have Shakir, who's still a young player.
Keon,
who's the veteran.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you've got guys who are coming in new,
Curtis
Samuel.
Yep.
And then you have, like you said, Keon's a rookie. And then you have guys coming from, look at MVS. I mean, these are guys who have to earn their chance to play on this team. Dalton Kincaid's a second-year guy. I'm not saying he's going to be standing on the field screaming and yelling all day, but there's an accountability.
Not in the building.
Yes.
Maybe he lights them up behind closed doors.
I don't think so.
I'm just saying, not in the building.
Not even lights them up. It doesn't have to be, I'm screaming and yelling at you. Do you, know your route, be ready if I come to you or I'm not coming to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's in him at some point. And this is a year with all this change that I think he can establish.
If it's in him, it will come out this season.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because it has to. And also there's so many new faces, and with Diggs not around, it kind of clears the way for that.
Picture if you're Keon Coleman and you're sitting there and Josh Allen just called you out. Aren't you, I'm just picking on Keon, he's a rookie. Aren't you like,
yeah,
Justin Shorter?
We got
called out. We didn't say.
Dang.
Yeah.
But I'm saying is if Josh, and you're going to feel it if he's complimenting you.
Yep.
And then he turns around and says, wrong route, wrong thing.
Yep.
You got to read that better. Know your stuff or whatever.
I need more out of you.
Well, how's that next rep going to be?
Yep.
I mean, I just think
A lot
coming from
better.
Josh Allen, it's going to play differently.
And Mahomes has Travis Kelce to be his henchman. I think you don't see Mahomes as yelling and screaming.
Well, he can't with that voice, though.
I think Mahomes has asshole in him, but in the media, he never threw a wide receiver under the bus.
Correct.
That's not talking about that.
Yeah.
But he's pissed on the sidelines. He's throwing his helmet. He's upset, whether it's the refs or coaches
or guys dropping the ball.
A lot of them. But I also think he has Travis Kelce to get in their face even more.
Yeah, it might
Travis
be.
Kelce's an alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. He also has Andy Reid too, but but in terms of an offensive coach. So yeah, I wanted to see more of this.
This was a drive home conversation between Jenna and I, and we brought it up to Mike thinking like, this is kind of like, we're just spitballing here. And Mike's like, we're going to put this in the pod.
Yeah.
And Jenna was terrified.
Well, I don't know. I think it's different, honestly, being like that interaction. I guess I never thought about it in those terms of like alpha or not alpha.
But you've been on teams where girls in high school or things like that, like they take charge. Like they're the alpha of your team.
Yes.
This is an old school reference, but you see him now during the broadcast of hockey. Wayne Gretzky, probably the best player ever.
Yeah.
Marc Messier was the alpha on that team, the leader, the guy who ended up, you'd say he's a great player, alpha, leader, loud, holding people accountable.
I know people may cringe at this, but when Stephon Diggs walked in the building and they traded for him from Minnesota, they said practices were different.
You could feel it on the side.
When Stephon Diggs was at practice, they said the intensity that which you practice at. Like, I love Josh and the high fives and all of those things, the fun things. Diggs brought that alpha mentality that, like you said, Kobe, Jordan, like that kind of alpha mentality. And there's a little bit of a vacancy there.
Right.
Maybe Josh will watch this video and be like, I took that personally.
Yes. Hey, no. And let me tell you something. Do not take this the wrong way. We're talking about the way Josh's personality is, but you are the franchise quarterback of this team. It's in a transition year offensively. Mm-hmm. This is your time to be more demanding in that way. That's all I think
they need it. I think this offense, rudderless is not the right term, but transition of finding out who they are. And I think Josh needs to be the one at the front of the ship, steering it and keeping everybody in line.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
No,
I thought that was a very good conversation.
I just didn't know how to get into it.
You should have been like, Josh Allen, alpha or not? Go.
Well, that's why I said it's strictly a personality thing.
Well, it is tough because with an alpha can come it being exhausting. And that, I think, is a fine line.
Very good point.
Kobe and Jordan were exhausting.
Yes.
People hated playing with them.
Yes. Yeah.
Jordan was not punching teammates.
Yeah.
Draymond Green's an alpha.
Yes.
Like
when you mentioned punching teammates, I was like, Draymond.
That was the first thing I thought of.
Yes.
Like if practice means that much to you that you will swing at a teammate, everybody straightens up at practice.
Yes. It's just
because Draymond
different.
Could punch you.
Hey, but let me tell you something. Sometimes it's easier to be that guy. Now, Kobe and Jordan were exceptions because they were the best players and at the times maybe the best in the league. It's sort of easier to be that way when you don't have all the responsibility of being a quarterback. That is a lot to take on all the time.
It's a great caveat.
It is. Yeah. But some quarterbacks do.
But you listed it. Brady, Manning.
Like funny though. The one with Jeff Saturday and Manning yelling at each other is so good. Is so good. Snap the ball.
Snap the damn ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
I mean,
Josh,
what was Elway, Marino?
Oh, Marino, definitely an alpha. Snapping it. I mean, that's just the way he was wired in that way. Kelly was too.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of alphas on that team.
They had a ton of alphas.
Yes. Andre, no question.
Probably maybe a few too many alphas.
Yes. Daryl Talley.
You had a lot of pit bulls.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. By the way, NFL Network just showed Super Bowl 25. I was watching some of it.
Wow.
Man.
This is a great conversation. I thought this was a good end.
Well, it's funny. We got in today. We're like, what do we get a podcast about? Figured we.
And I'm going to throw a name out to you. You guys have no idea. Donnie Smith.
Okay.
First Buffalo Bill to score a touchdown in a Super Bowl.
Oh.
Okay.
Totally forgot. Until I saw it in the game.
Also,
totally forgot.
If you stayed all the way to the end, I just want to give a shout out to Vic. Big fan of Buffalo Plus. I was getting my hair cut by Brother Bill.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe is he said his words, my gosh, this is a celebrity. And I was like, Brother Bill, yeah, he's right here. He's cutting my hair. And big fan, watches everything.
Wow.
So he saw me at Strangebird one time a while ago.
Oh, that's cute.
But just want to give Vic a shout out.
We love that.
Vic.
Thank you, Vic, and all of our followers. We do appreciate 31,000 and growing. Crazy.
More content Tuesday.
Yep.
More content. Probably we'll put up something Thursday. Maybe we'll keep something Wednesday that we can put up Thursday.
It's mandatory.
Mandatory.
Yeah.
All right. Please be sure to like, comments. What was that?
I'm trying to sync up the perfect when the graphic comes in.
Oh. Okay. Try it again.
What?
And then there's a little bell.
Well, since you're putting it on there, you can make it work.
It did that the one time and somebody commented.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. I was impressed. I was impressed. Okay. For Dan, for Vanna.
Hey, remember that?
Comment. Why are you doing that?
Van Fates.
Comment, subscribe, share. I need a little practice, but yeah, for Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. Thanks for watching Buffalo Plus, the channel presented by Connors and Ferris. We appreciate it. We'll have more updates from Mandatory Minicamp.
Buffalo Plus, the channel.
Okay.